Atlanta's Favorite Jewelry Special is back with Atlanta's Favorite Jewelry Store, of course. For the whole month of August, get 0% APR financing for 5 years only at D. Geller & Son. Birthday or anniversary coming up? Every woman needs a tennis bracelet in her jewelry box, and you can blow her away with a show-stopping 5-carat total weight for just $79 a month. It's only this month and only at D. Geller & Son, Atlanta's most trusted jeweler since 1939. In Atlanta, Kennesaw, and Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
This is an Extra 106.3 podcast. To hear more live and local content like this, tune into 106.3 FM or download the Extra 106.3 app. Extra 106.3 and a Second Chance Bail Bonds are here to back your blue. Back Your Blue highlights special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Join a Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Matalon and host Tug Coward to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. Now it's time to Back Your Blue on Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra 106.3 app.
Welcome to Back Your Blue with Daniel Matalon of A Second Chance Bail Bonds. He's the CEO there. My name is Tug Cowart here on Extra 106.3. Our guest today is Jesse Fellabaum. He is the Director of Operations at A Second Chance Bail Bonds. Hold on, you brought an employee in this morning?
I did.
Does that
a very good one at that.
It seems like there could be pitfalls right here that we're not anticipating.
That's right.
Yes, because y'all have known each other for what, 15 years?
That's right.
And so. Well, then, I guess we'll start there. Like, how did you meet? How did you become an employee? What were you doing before you were an employee?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And,
man.
Well done pronouncing the last name.
Yeah, man.
Nobody gets that right the first time.
I typically always get it wrong, man. If it can be mispronounced, I'll mispronounce it. But I even double-checked this morning. I was just like, make sure I'm saying this right.
You cheated.
Yes, absolutely. Well, no, I didn't cheat. Oh, I said, is this the way it's pronounced? And I was told yes. So there was no cheating involved, although I'm not above cheating. So please don't think that at all. But
whatever it takes.
Yeah, absolutely. So what were you doing before you went to work with A Second Chance?
Yeah, so I was in college at KSU.
Go Owls, hoot hoot.
Yeah, that's it. And I was just struggling through that, working at BrandSmart USA. I don't know, BrandSmart USA had a location in Kennesaw on Chastain Road, which was very close to where Daniel and his family lived at the time. And so Daniel and Ray would come in there and they would shop. And I got hooked up with them just through that. I was selling, I think, TVs at the time.
Yeah.
And so he came in and bought a few TVs for his home, for the offices, or I guess office at that time, the one location.
Yeah.
And we just got to know each other through that. And then one day just struck up conversation about how things weren't going so hot where I was and things weren't going so great for a few staff members that he had. And he wanted to rework things and sat down at Taco Mac on Chastain Road, I think a week later, hammered out a deal. And it's been history ever since. Best decision of my life.
Yeah, and I couldn't afford him in the beginning. I mean, literally, I was like, I don't know if I can pull this off. And
did he know that at the time?
Well, I mean, I foreshadowed sort of. A little bit. I mean, I did kind of like
the sweat dripping down his forehead. Was,
I was like, but there was something about him that was special, obviously, in the very beginning, and I was attracted to him from the business side to I felt from the sales side he could really deliver. Not knowing where this would go. Obviously, fast forward 15 years later, now we're here.
Yeah, are there any stories that we shouldn't delve into? Because I would imagine in 15 years, y'all have done some pretty extraordinary things.
We've done some traveling. We've made some memories, some things we still talk about today out of a great deal of respect for the gentleman across the table.
Yeah.
We'll hold those close to the vest for now. But
we got 3 segments. We got 3 segments to build. So I mean, at some point we've got to get to them.
Yeah.
Maybe and at least come up with one story that's going to make everybody uncomfortable. That's what we want to end on.
I'll tell you this. He and I at this exact same time, we were standing on the side of. Was at Las Vegas Boulevard looking for a way to get home because both of our wives were very unhappy with our performance that particular night. And I think it was the most expensive limo ride in history. So I think Daniel's name is next to the Guinness.
It was how quick can we get out of here?
Yeah. And anyway, that was a good night for sure. But no, he's, tremendous guy, as you can tell.
But you both are snappy dressers. Is that a requirement in the bail bonds industry or in the monitoring industry? Because obviously you do a Second Chance Bail Bonds and a Second Chance Monitoring, two different companies. But is that part of the requirement? Because I would never be able to work with y'all. I mean, y'all always dress so well, and I dress like I just woke up.
Well, we hit this period where it was like we're either going to stay where we're at or we're going to mature and be leaders in the industry, and that's kind of where that took shape. And when I came out of the day-to-day, and Ryan and Jesse kind of took over all of that stuff, I had to kind of grow up a little bit. So
that's no fun. Did you have to grow up too? Is that a requirement, Jesse?
Oh yeah, maturing a little bit helps. I think, and we'll probably touch on it later, but you just never know what your day is going to hold. You could plan to go to an office and just sit there and clear out 1,000 emails, but then you'll get a phone call, and some elected official or some celebrities, in jail, and they need your help. And so you got to just dress for what you got to anticipate the need.
Absolutely,
so,
man.
Easier to look good and just be ready for it.
No, I like it. I like it because I don't think most people like dressing up a whole lot. And maybe I'm wrong. Is that you? Do you dig that look? Or
hate it.
Hate it? See, that's what I expect. Because there's not. How old are you?
So 35.
35. Yeah. So 35, I guess you're already past like the wearing a baseball cap backwards and just kind of rolling out of bed. But at 35,
that was yesterday.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right, for the weekend, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But at 35, because I'm just a tick north of there, and I don't recall ever liking to dress up. I don't want to dress up today. When I go to church, man, I pretty much wear the same thing that I'm wearing now. A pair of khakis and a polo, but that's about as dressy as I get. Is it like that industry wide, or do you run into people that are also in the industry and you're like, man, come on, shape up?
Yes to both. Yeah. There are definitely people that take it very seriously. And those people tend to do very well. And then there are those that just, they want to be laid back and they don't really care, and we want to be the tip of the spear when it comes to representing our industry, and it starts with the way we dress.
Yeah, there you go. And you would say that same thing, Daniel, tip of the spear, doing things that are out of the box or innovative, and you've done that with this show just specifically. Like how many other people are doing this show to create an environment to welcome people from the law enforcement community or city and county governments, municipalities, the state governments, how you're working with them, giving them the platform to promote the things that are important to them and the community. Nobody else is doing that.
Yeah, none that I'm aware of at all. Yeah, it doesn't exist. And like this, how this show has even evolved.
Yeah.
And the feedback that I've gotten in the community, I'm like, this may be here to stay. Just because it's had such an impact on people and allowed us the platform to to expose a lot of stuff and educate people on stuff in the community, which is what my purpose is.
Yeah. Jesse, have you seen that too? Have you had people react to what you're a part of today, but we've been doing for the better part of 6 months? We've been 6 months?
Yeah.
At least 6 months.
27 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen that play out in the community or at least in the people that you've dealt with?
I get phone calls from attorneys that listen to this, and they're like, "Hey, how do I get on there?"
Yeah, right. I want to promote my business too. Thank you.
We've gotten business from it. We've had people apply for employment from it.
Okay.
So absolutely.
We were just one of the big insurance companies. I was just at a conference out of town, and he says I'd love to come in and fly in and do the show.
Jeez, where are they flying in from?
From Indianapolis.
Wow.
And,
okay.
And he's a big player. Been in the industry for 30 plus years, and he's like, I love. Let's talk national and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, we'll get you on the show. So
I mean, between him and celebrities that we've had on before, with like Dwayne the Dog Chapman, which was an adventure in and of itself. I'm sure Jesse, you got to meet him.
Oh yeah, got to spend the day with him after he left here, and that was fun.
What was your takeaway? Was he what you expect? Had you met him before?
I had not met him before.
Okay.
No.
What was your takeaway? Because I didn't know what to expect. I had no clue what to expect, and he was such a pleasant guy. I was really moved. I thought he was great. He and his wife, I thought, are just as sweet as they could possibly be. Completely different than I expected.
I agree with you. But I think in a positive way, not that I had, some negative thought or anything like that. He is larger than life. He is very, very, very smart when it comes to how to deal with our clientele. Very well connected. He'll listen. He'll speak when appropriate. Deeply rooted in religion.
Yeah, he's a very faithful guy.
That's right. And actually, ironically, we were with his son last week Leland
in Mobile.
What were y'all doing there?
National, the PBIS National Mid-Year Meeting, National Conference.
The what?
The Professional Bail Agents of the United States.
You know PBIS?
I wasn't familiar.
Yeah, I was
thought
telling you
did
as
that.
if you just should know that.
I thought I did that when I woke up this morning. First thing. You know?
That's another thing.
But yeah, he was there doing a basically like a class on bounty hunting, actually.
Like, I wonder how many people were like, I think I can do that. You know, just where they're. Can you get invited to that? Is that so? I mean, where do you start? Because that's the thing. That's the question. Where do you get started?
People call all the time, or you'll run into them and they'll be like, I want to come be a bounty hunter. And I'm like, but you don't want to become a bounty hunter.
Right,
that is actually the worst idea. Knowing you and knowing your mannerisms, you do not want to embark on that journey.
Is what Leland said. He said that people come up to him all the time because he's a big figure in what we do.
Sure.
And they'll say, hey, what do I got to do to get in the industry, man? And he's like, well, first thing you got to do is find another idea. Don't do this.
This is a terrible plan.
All right, well, let's start there.
Yeah,
So
no, it's fascinating.
I had dog record a video to my daughter, who's 12, about staying in school or he'd hunt her down. So that was pretty good. Her friends like that too.
Yeah, I'm sure, man.
Yeah.
Hey, send that to the teacher too, man. We want to use this to benefit her in the long run. Make sure she stays in school. Make sure she's getting good grades. Make sure she's doing all the things she needs to do.
That's right.
Morning. Good morning to you. Glad that you're here, and so glad that you are joining us on Back Your Blue. Jesse Fellabaum is the Director of Operations at A Second Chance Bail Bonds and has been with the company 14 years, works all aspects of A Second Chance operations using his management experience to work with the legal services industry. He works so closely at A Second Chance with law enforcement and community partners. He grew up in Atlanta, attended Fayetteville County High School, and then KSU. We're going to continue that conversation about how he ended up in the bail bond industry. How is it different than he expected it was going to be versus what it is today? Because I have a feeling that those people that really want to be bounty hunters are not – they don't really know what it's like behind the scenes. That's my guess, and we'll talk about that next. Here on Extra 106.3, it is Back Your Blue with Daniel Madelon of A Second Chance Bail Bonds, and I'm Tug Cowart. This is Extra 106.3.
This morning in North Carolina, wheels are spinning. Determination is winning. A passion is now a thriving business, and it shows no signs of slowing down. How? The power of a conversation. Like the one Clint Spiegel had with First Horizon Bank about starting a bike wheel manufacturing facility in Asheville. Now it's not just talk, it's rubber meets road. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Clint. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
Are you planning a fall wedding? With a venue to book, cakes to taste, and decorations to pick, the expenses can stack up. This month, D. Geller & Son is taking one expense off your plate: the rings. How? For the month of August, D. Geller & Son is offering 0% APR financing for 5 years. Find the perfect match to her engagement ring or dream up something totally one of a kind. Surprise her with something that will take her breath away on your wedding day. And just the same, get 60 months to pay with no interest. Only at D. Geller & Son in Atlanta, Kennesaw, and Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
This is Back Your Blue, presented by A Second Chance Bail Bonds, live on Extra 106.3 FM and streaming for free anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Welcome back to Back Your Blue on Extra 106.3, along with Daniel Madelon, the CEO of A Second Chance Bail Bonds and A Second Chance Monitoring. My name is Tug Cowart from the Morning Extra, and we're with Jesse Fellabaum. He's the Director of Operations at A Second Chance Bail Bonds. Been working there for about 14 years, known Daniel for about 15 years. Enjoys assisting those in needs, although work is definitely challenging. He finds it rewarding and helps him grow as a person after clocking out. Loves to golf, spending time with his family. Family man, can't survive a day without his wife and his daughter. I understand that. During football season, he cheers for How About Them Dogs, as do I, the Georgia Bulldogs, and in the offseason loves to listen to Shinedown, watches some of his favorite movies, including Law Abiding Citizen. Shinedown, a band out of Jacksonville, Florida. I was stationed down in Jacksonville when their career kind of took off.
Yeah.
Dude, they're a great band, so good. Their cover of Simple Man is so incredible, and then 45, they're probably their biggest hit. Man, go if you like that style of music, which is kind of like a hard rock, but with a little of an alternative edge, maybe. Is that the way you describe it? Yeah. So, great band. Tell me about Law Abiding Citizen, because I don't know that one.
What? Gerard Butler?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Jamie Foxx?
Okay,
yeah.
well, here's the deal. I'm not a movie guy. I'm a music guy. That's why I can wrap off stuff about Shinedown.
No one knows about Shinedown, by the way, so that was pretty good.
Wrap that off in a minute. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm a music guy. My wife watches TV and movies. My son watches TV and movies. I listen to music, man. The minute I get home, music's on, and the second I go to bed, it's still on in my ears and my headphones until I fall asleep, and then finally take them out and fall asleep. Yeah. So that's the way I do business, man. So, and I listen to everything from rock and alternative to country. Obviously, I've worked country radio for most of my career, and bluegrass and gospel and hip hop and everything in between. That's the stuff that I love. So you have to tell me about Law Abiding Citizen and maybe other movies that you like.
Cliff notes of it. It's Gerard's family gets just murdered, and the law drags their feet, in his opinion, on the prosecution of the case, and they cut an unfavorable deal for him as the victim, and so he takes matters into his own hands.
Oh, surprise, surprise!
Street justice.
That sounds like a unique movie plot.
Yeah,
dude takes crime into his own hands or justice into his own hands. I feel like that started a bunch of different movies, hasn't it?
There's some darkness in it, but it's keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, all right. What else do you like to watch?
I'm all over the place. You
know? You're watching some Dog the Bounty Hunter.
I watched that back way before I was in this.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I think most people did.
And even then, with watching that, I still didn't understand coming into this what it was going to be.
Well, when you see that on the big screen or even the small screen, is it at all like it's presented on television or in movies?
There are part truths to that for sure, but that highlights the bail recovery or the forfeiture side of things. When somebody misses court, this is a tactic they use. But a majority of our day is spent getting people out of jail, not looking for ways to put them back. That's when things don't go well, and obviously you have to fix the
That's
issue.
worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's an accurate portrayal to a certain degree of some of the stuff we go through when someone misses a court date and they refuse to get it reset or fix it on their own. Most people do, by the way. I'll say that. When we call and let them know that, hey, you've missed a court date and here's what you need to do to get it fixed and here's your timeline to do it, you're gonna hold their feet to the fire a little bit, but they're gonna comply as long as they understand exactly what they need to do. And it's an informational piece that we really have to do for them. But some folks say, hey, catch me when you can.
My gosh, that's another movie. Isn't that a movie? Tom Hanks. Who else is in that? Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Thank you, Board Up Joey.
That's right.
Virgin River over there.
Catch me if you can. That's another great movie.
Yeah, no doubt. But so let's talk about how this industry has changed. And Daniel, we'll start with you and then come to you, Jesse. From your perspective, since you started all of this, how has it changed?
Well, I think, I've been in it roughly about 20 years. And I think, yes, drastic change. I think the biggest thing has been, there was this false narrative that was going around that basically stated that, people were being caged inside jails and all this stuff. And look, there's some truth to all of it, right? Reform is needed, I think, in a lot of things, in moderation, depending on how it's done, how it's applied. And we faced a big challenge when it happened here, even in the city of Atlanta, when Mayor Bottoms had taken the initiative to eliminate cash bail in the city of Atlanta, and what she wanted to do wasn't bad, right? From the mental health aspect side of stuff and attack that arena, which was lacking resources. But what it did was they used it as a hot button against bail bonds and things like that, which really it had nothing to do with that, right? What we're doing is guaranteeing someone's appearance in court. That's essentially what we do. And so, but we passed that hurdle in California. They voted against it. They eliminated it. So we were and right around the time when Governor Kemp and Stacey Abrams were running against each other the first time, that was kind of a pivotal moment in time for the bail industry. And that was, almost 8 years ago.
Good,
right?
For the better or for the worse?
It moved for the better for us because really what happened was they started to test some of this stuff out. And then we realized, wow, whoa, that's too extreme to the left, right? So let's bring it back to the middle. And that allowed us to really have hard data and facts that stated, hey, the bail process works, right? I mean, it does work. It's been around for a long time. Now, could there be tweaks? Absolutely, just like anything in life.
Yeah, show me anything that doesn't need any tweaks.
Right, and it's just tweaking it the right way and having the right people at the table in the right seats to make those decisions on how we move this thing forward. But definitely more scrutiny now than it was back in the day. So yes, I mean it's definitely, it was great. Then it got worse. Now we're moving back better, and we're getting laws passed that make sense for all parties. And it's going to be a challenge. It's always going to be a hot topic. I mean, as you know, because I know you report on a lot of this stuff and have discussions about a lot of this stuff. I mean, it definitely ties to the political climate that's happening.
And that's going to be my next question. Did it seem like that it was politically motivated versus really doing something for the better?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I expected so.
Right. Yeah. It definitely was a tool that they used in discussions. But, look, my goal is to bring it all back to the middle. I have friends on both sides of the aisle. And for me, it's just about what's right for the people and public safety.
Yeah. Moving to you, Jesse, how have you seen it change in the 14 years that you've been in a second chance?
Daniel and a few people in the industry have done a really good job at getting a seat at the table. And shout out also to the elected officials and people in power that want to hear what experts in this industry have to say. All too often it's, hey, don't really care what you guys see on boots on the ground. It's just what we believe from our Golden Dome. And I've seen that change, which has been super positive for us. We have a lot of statistics in our favor as well that show that we do a tremendous job of making sure that people show up to court, even people that are high on the risk scale. Bond amounts have changed. Went from bonds used to be super high for low-level offenses to now they're more reasonable. And like Daniel said, we are in favor of responsible reform. And they talk about folks that can't afford to get out on bond on these small little charges. Well, those aren't our customers anyway. We're not afraid of losing those clients. Do something positive to get them out of jail. It's taxpayer money that you're spending housing them there. Bad things happen to those people in their personal lives as well.
That's the reason they're in that situation to begin with.
That's it. And so, just down to the way that we even sign bonds. We used to have to march ourselves in to these jails and sit there for hours on end to get one person out. Now we can click a button in some counties, and that starts the bail process. So it's moved in a very positive direction.
What about for hiring people? How has that changed since you've been there? And has it been good or bad, or have more people been interested in working with you guys, or have they been a little more skittish to do so?
More interested, especially thanks to platforms like this, social media. The more that people know about what we do, I think the more interested they are in becoming a part of it. So that's been positive. But I will tell you, and maybe it's just some of the ponds we're fishing in, we're finding it difficult to locate people that are down with the weekends, the long hours, the holidays. Yeah. Now, folks, they want that work-life balance, and
sure.
I get that. But if you want to be at the tip of the spear, as I mentioned earlier, you got to look past some of those things.
It comes with elbow grease.
It does,
indeed. But I would say that about anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you want to do. I mean, what job can you go in and go, you know what, maybe retail. You can say, you know what, once I've clocked out, I'm out, and there's nothing. But if you're in retail management, you can't.
Yeah.
So I don't know that exists truly at past the level of a beginner or someone who's just getting involved into a particular industry. Because if you work your way up that ladder, those nights and weekends, those anytime calls come anytime.
That's right.
And that's not going to change anytime soon. I don't expect it'll change for y'all either.
No, but we do have a tremendous group of men and women that work with us, some of them for over a decade, and they just kick ass, for lack of a better term. I mean, that's a big competitive advantage, is that our people are just freaking awesome, and they continue to do a great job. And the best source of referrals for us come from those folks.
How about that?
Yeah.
How do you keep it? And I'll open this up to both of you guys. How do y'all keep people engaged? I mean, what is it that makes a Second Chance Bail Bonds different than working for some other company or some other bail bonding company? Because of the elbow grease needed. What is it that you do that sets yourself apart? And that's to either or both.
Well, I can tell you we pay the most out of anybody.
Okay, well, that's a good start.
We can
Great
start
start.
there. But, also keeping that edge, right? Because, when you're at the top of the charts, people are constantly coming after you, or they're emulating you, which is great. But with that comes you have to find that next piece, right? And I mean, we offer all the benefits that a lot of companies have backed off benefits and packages where we actually have gone the other direction. So now we're offering things that like you just will not find at other places of employment. And look, at the end of the day, I've always been about taking care of the people around you, period. The end, like when it comes to myself or the people at the very top, like we come last. And I've been stressing that for, over 17 years, just because that's just the way I'm wired. So I think it's important to take care of the people around you. So yeah, I mean that's definitely what we have to offer is and people, because it's like you look at it and you're like, oh, it's the bail bond business. No, it's we're underwriting. It's like a bank. It's a financial institution. We're loaning money, and we just have a different approach to it. So it's definitely different from that standpoint. But you always have to be on top of your game to be in front.
Jesse Fellabaum is our guest, Director of Operations here at A Second Chance Bail Bonds. Same question to you. Like, what is it that, because, of course, the owner's going to say everything's the greatest, the CEO is not going to be like, oh, man, it's tough. You know what I mean? Of course. But as a guy that works for him, a guy that works for the company, a guy that is in with your hands in the mix of everyday bail bond life, how do you describe why people are there for over a decade?
Well, Daniel's actually being modest in the way that he described that, so he didn't oversell that, I promise. Daniel and his brother Ryan, they are just the best people to work with. Daniel corrected me very early on in a very kind of public fashion. One day I said, I work for Daniel. He stopped me mid-sentence and said, no, we work together. And this was in front of people that I really respected. And at first I was like, damn, just cut me down like that.
What you doing, man?
But then I got to thinking like that was huge, and this guy's purchased prosthetics for people. He's put tires on people's cars. Heard that somebody was talking about going to a concert, buys concert tickets for them, for their family because they couldn't afford it. The list goes on, right? I've seen it for 14, 15 years. So he just does things probably that other business owners would go, that's ridiculous, and I'm never going to do that. But that's why people love him.
No, that's the reason people stay around too.
That's
because
right.
There's those moments where you're in that situation where you want it, you can't get it, and somebody delivers. I mean that's the stuff that you make social media videos out of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have one of those good moments, because there's so much bad news, and especially on social media. Holy cow! But when you can see good things happening, those are the videos. I got to tell you, man, that's kind of the things that I go after on social media these days. I want to see somebody helping somebody out.
Yeah.
I want to see the kid that the NBA player pulls off to the side and gives him a jersey or signs a basketball for him. Just the smallest stuff. A kid coming home and surprising his parents because they're serving in the military and they didn't expect him home for the holidays or whatever it is. Yeah, I search that stuff out because there's so much negative, and it sounds like y'all could build your own case study of how that affects people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just, when somebody says, I got to get my kid to school at this time. Okay, cool. Let's figure out a schedule that works for that.
Yeah, man.
He's super flexible in that regard, so it's awesome.
That is the best. How is it, since you've been doing it for 14 years, can you remember what you thought it was going to be like to work in bail bonding, and specifically at a Second Chance Bail Bonds and a Second Chance Monitoring? But how is it different than you expected? Can you remember that far back? 14 years doing this a long time.
So really tying it back to Dog the Bounty Hunter, ironically, that was my frame of reference.
It was everybody's.
But again, that highlights when things go bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very apprehensive, thinking, am I going to have to shoot somebody with a paintball gun? That missed court on a suspended license. I don't know, but I don't want to do that. I've never played paintball. But no, a majority of my career has been the people management side of things, getting people out of jail, figuring out what makes people tick, why are they afraid to go to court, how do we convince them to take action, those sorts of things. Not hunting people down or that misconception. That's when things go really bad, and that's rare. When we get people out of jail, they are thankful. They some people wouldn't give them the opportunity to get out of jail because they were too risky or they didn't have a qualified cosigner or what have you. We tend to look past all that and find any reason to write the bond. So just the willingness to help and the ability to do it, and also leverage relationships that we've built to help these folks get out of a pinch, that's huge. And I didn't know any of that.
No, so. I wouldn't have. And, working with Daniel now as long as I have and doing this show, I still find new things. Like the stuff you're telling me. I mean, that makes sense that you're not Dog the Bounty Hunter 7 days a week. But I don't think most people realize that there's an administrative side of it. I don't think many people realize that there is another side. That's when things have gone the worst, and we don't want that happening. We don't want to send bounty hunters out. We don't want. That's cool.
Well, the liabilities change now. So
what do you mean?
Right. Well, I mean, so the liability has changed for us. So therefore, when we don't want to go kicking indoors and doing all that stuff. So
fun, though.
A lot of that was more acceptable back in the day when I first came in. The bail recovery stories, the bounty hunter stories were just nuts. Right now, fast forward. A lot of stuff is less acceptable today than it was then, right?
Kicking in front doors. And
right.
So you can't do it as much as you want to.
Your accountability factor has gone up significantly. Well, and people are quick to just get a lawyer, file a lawsuit, all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to figure out a new way to do it, right? And the new way is you have to get creative on the investigation side where you're not just, load up the SWAT truck and come barreling through or come through the air ducts of their house. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing all that anymore, although that is fun in theory and the strategy
makes a great movie.
Makes a great movie. It's now more, listen, I'm not trying to be in a courtroom with a judge trying to explain myself as to why you were a knucklehead and acted inappropriately in someone's house. I don't need that. Like, not today.
Yeah, or not any day for that matter.
Or
right?
any day for that
matter.
matter.
No, it's so crazy. Since we're on the topic of crazy, some of the craziest stories that you, Jesse, have experienced since you've been there at a Second Chance Bail Bonds. I know it's mostly administrative and you're going through the court processes, you're doing the right things, but I want to know about when it goes really bad and you end up like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
I mean, just the other day,
Okay, so here you go. You can't start with it's always normal, but just the other day.
Well,
I kid.
With as big as we are, obviously it comes with the territory.
Sure.
So, you've got So the other day, we had this guy who missed his court date. We did our typical thing where we called out and said, hey, did you miss your court date? What's going on? Just kind of ignored us and certainly wasn't compliant or attempting to go get anything fixed. And so went out to the residence, and he took off running and ended up underneath the foundation of his home, like tucked up between the foundation and like some mud.
Hiding from y'all.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, that's probably not what he would say. Maybe that's where, but,
sure, he was checking the insulation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He was looking for roaches. But anyway, so my phone starts ringing. It's this lawyer that I know. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? I said, bad time. And he's like, about that. He's like, I got this client that I think you guys might be out looking for. He's not there, and you're going to want to just give me some time. I'll get it fixed. He's out of town or whatever. I'm like, well, I'm going to send you something. So I snap a photo of him tucked up underneath the foundation. And he's like, well, in that case, just go ahead and take him on in. Do what you got to do. So,
oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So he had told his lawyer a fib.
Yeah.
Does that, I would imagine usually that's what triggers something like an incident like you're describing, right? Is he's told somebody a fib. You don't hide out under the house if you've done something wrong.
Yeah. Well, what we find, it's funny about like the kicking in door thing, right? So you might think that you're out serving a warrant on, a suspended license, failure to appear. And that's true. But what you don't know is that sitting next to that guy is someone wanted for murder out of Jersey. So, you go in the door, you're looking for what you think is a low-level offender, but next to him, who has
high-level offender.
He has no idea who's coming through that door.
With nothing to lose.
With nothing to lose.
Oh my God.
And so you find yourself in a precarious scenario real quick. So you always have to be on high alert and, mind your P's and Q's, announce yourself appropriately, that sort of stuff.
Goodness gracious.
That we've been stuck in the middle of SWAT standoffs and all kinds of stuff in Marietta on Powder Springs Road.
Oh God! Yeah.
I mean, it was
Which time?
and I
Which time?
and I
Jesse says
actually
which
was
time.
out there in the middle of one of them, and I'm like, this is insane. And I'm just watching it, and it's literally like what you see on TV. The trucks come rolling in, people are moving, they're moving in cadence, and I mean, it's just like all of this for just this guy that has now missed court, and now it's escalated into this dramatic scene, and there's 100 people involved now, and yeah, I mean that stuff. So you tried. I mean, as glorious as some of that sounds and exciting as it is,
It does.
It is. The adrenaline rush is real, but we try to help the people navigate the system as best as possible.
Oh Lord, I'm telling you, there's so much there. Because do you recall what that incident was about? It's just somebody missing court.
Yeah,
Or
it was.
What were they accused of to get to that
He
point?
had missed court, and then the mother had got involved, and then our recovery agents were out there. They notified that they were there, but then it just once SWAT gets involved, then it kind of just goes up a whole nother level.
Do y'all take a step back once that happens?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, when something like
You let
that
them
happens,
kick in the doors.
well, right, because then you run the risk of people shooting guns and all kinds of stuff going off. So it's better that you let the professionals, law enforcement, kind of take the lead on that.
I was talking with your team right before we started this, and they had made reference to the SWAT team. They had made that reference, but we like to be the hostage negotiator.
Okay,
and I can't take credit for that. Your team came up with
Yeah,
that. So
it's good.
kudos
I
to
like
them,
it. That's
but
a great comparison. But
I'd rather do that for all the reasons Daniel and I have mentioned. But sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes you have to go get them.
when you have to go get them, are you wearing bulletproof vests and things?
So there's going to be people that listen to this. They're going to be like, Jesse, you haven't put on a bulletproof vest in 10 years. So just to be clear.
You've done it before.
Yes, back in the day, you would wear bulletproof vests. You'd have all the stuff.
Today all body cams, they all have body cams on just for the safety of the person
Of everybody,
of
really,
everybody
right?
involved, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, all
because-
parties involved. You have to record everything today.
The more camera angles, the better.
Yes, 100%.
Goodness gracious. So much more to talk about, and including, you may not realize that Jesse Fellabaum, Director of Operations at A Second Chance Bail Bonds, that works with Daniel Madelon, the CEO, is also TikTok famous. We'll talk about that next, here on Back Your Blue on Extra 106.3.
Tonight in Arkansas, there's a mother tucking in her daughter and turning off the light. A business owner is burning the midnight oil. An at-home dinner date is plating up possibility. And it's all happening under one roof. How? The power of a conversation, like the one John from Integrity Solutions had with First Horizon Bank about his vision for a sustainable mixed-use building. Now it's not just words, it's life. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/John. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
Are you planning a fall wedding? With a venue to book, cakes to taste, and decorations to pick, the expenses can stack up. This month, D. Geller & Son is taking one expense off your plate: the rings. How? For the month of August, D. Geller & Son is offering 0% APR financing for 5 years. Find the perfect match to her engagement ring or dream up something totally one of a kind. Surprise her with something that will take her breath away on your wedding day. And just the same, get 60 months to pay with no interest. Only at D. Geller & Son in Atlanta, Kennesaw, and Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Extra 106.3 and A Second Chance Bail Bonds are here to back your blue. Now back to the show on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Welcome back to Back Your Blue with Daniel Madelon, CEO of A Second Chance Bail Bonds. My name is Tug Cowart. This is Extra 106.3. Our guest today is an employee at A Second Chance Bail Bonds. He works with Daniel. He is the Director of Operations there and has done it all. In 14 years, man, the stories have been so incredible. So if you've missed any of them to this point, you can go back and listen to them at on the Podcast Park and on the Extra 106.3 app. They'll be available to you there. Jesse, I did not realize. Now, I knew you dressed really nice, and that bodes well for being very popular on social media, but you're TikTok famous too?
If you say so.
That's what I've been told. That's what my paperwork tells me. TikTok famous.
That's what mine says as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, how did that begin? Like, what got you to doing TikTok videos on behalf of A Second Chance?
We touched on it earlier. We try to do things different. We try to. I mean, this show.
Yeah, sure.
Is a great highlight of that. But we didn't really see anybody doing that outside of Dog's TV show.
Right.
And we just felt like we could maybe shed some light on what we do, maybe make it a little bit more lighthearted than what people believe. So reached out to a friend, Bo Brown, and asked him, how would you do this? So we went to lunch and we talked about it. And he's like, well, I'd love to help you kind of build it. So can we do it together? Let's just start for 6 months and see where it goes. And it's been more than 6 months now, and it's gone very well. And it's basically just talking about the things that the general public tells us they'd like to know more about. Oftentimes, we're getting concept ideas from the comment section.
Really? Okay.
So,
they're like, hey, you should try this.
Yeah, but the most recent video, put baloney between your ankle monitor and it'll trick it. So we did a video about that, and that got
hang on.
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of views about baloney and ankle monitors. True story.
But y'all two are talking about this like you know what you're talking about. I have no idea what that means. The people listening right now have no idea what that means. You got to set that up. You got to explain it.
So we didn't know what that means either. But we did bring some deli meat, Tug. So we're gonna.
I'd rather not be locked up. Can we just go with the video that you've already shot about it?
Yeah. So somebody. All right. So back it up a little bit.
Okay.
A big focus of these videos has to do with electronic ankle monitoring.
Like how to get out of it?
So that is what a lot of people like to talk about.
Well, yeah, because, that's the exciting part.
How to trick the system.
That's right, dude.
How to beat the system.
That's right. And
it's like a life hack. Everybody's looking for life hacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you don't know how to trick an ankle monitor, what rock have you been living under,
It's
I guess?
clearly one that is very, very deep inside the earth.
Yeah. So this one comment said that if you slide a piece of bologna
like some Oscar Mayer.
between the device and your skin, that it would trick the monitor from being able to read if you had alcohol in your system.
Brilliant.
If you say so.
Does that work?
I have not.
You tested it?
I have not and will not try that. The answer is no.
Okay, I was going to say, come on. Surely some greasy old baloney ain't going to trick a high-tech device like that.
Most of this, or I would say all of the suggestions that are out there would trigger alerts to us.
Yeah.
But
do exactly opposite. Imagine that. There's something on social media that isn't right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
reevaluate my whole life.
Wouldn't be trusting my freedom to a keyboard warrior,
or a slice of bologna.
Yeah, or a slice of deli meat.
Good Lord! So, what are some of the other videos you do? Because I heard somebody say during the break that you guys have gotten y'all have had videos that got 2 or 3 million views.
Oh, millions! At almost 3.5 million on one. Yeah, it's crazy.
So the two super popular ones had to do with just FAQs about ankle monitors, how they work, what they do, are they waterproof, the things that people want to know. Because to my knowledge, there's not been a series that talks and informs people about what electronic monitoring is. So that one did super well, and that was early on. The other one is a story about a guy that allegedly was asleep wearing an ankle monitor, and his dog ate it while it was on his leg.
How's that impossible?
Well, I'm not sure that it is possible.
Okay, because I'm not. I'm a layman here,
but something ate it. It was either a dinosaur or a large dog of some sort.
Yeah, what we kind of suspect is that he cut it off.
Yeah.
Then gave it to the dog to kind of gnaw on it to make it look like it wasn't a clean cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's speculation, of course. Right. We have to report it no matter what.
Yeah, sure, of course.
So it's up to a judge to figure out what they believe happened.
Is that pending?
But I haven't followed up on that one.
Okay, we need to.
We need to take that down.
We got to check that one off. We got to figure out what's happened. Where is this in the process?
Part 2.
No, that's great.
But it was shredded. The thing was shredded. It was shredded.
How much did those cost for somebody to shred it like that?
They're $400 or $500, $600.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's cellular chips inside. Dual set cellular chips, and then the mechanism itself, the electronic piece of it.
Yeah, goodness gracious. You've been instrumental, Jesse, in developing relationships with attorneys and law enforcement. How do you do that? How do you make that happen? Just being good to folks, I imagine treating them right is going to be the answer. But it seems like, a lot of personalities, maybe some big egos, lawyers and police officers, and, and maybe even inside the industry that you work, there's some big egos too.
Well, I have a big ego.
Well, I can tell. So, you barely got in the room. It was so big.
That's exactly right. Thank God for wide doors.
No,
but yeah, no, one, we do what we do very well and very quickly. Every single person you just mentioned appreciates that. Make ourselves available, day, night, weekend, holiday, doesn't matter. you go to work to form a relationship with an attorney. They go in, they get a bond for their client. They want to be able to turn around and tell the client's family, hey, now call Jesse or Daniel over at A Second Chance Bail Bonds, and they'll walk you through the rest. And when you text that attorney and say, hey, your client's out, heading home, boom, locked. We have relationships with people that we have built over years that we're able to lean on in challenge scenarios to facilitate quicker release sometimes. I had an attorney do a testimonial about how we effectuate people's release from jail when they can't get it done.
Wow.
So that goes a long way.
It certainly does.
And those communities are small. So, you do well for a couple of attorneys, they have a couple of attorney buddies.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you got a whole gang of them calling you.
So for folks who might want to get a job with y'all or might want to work with you in some shape, form, or fashion, how do they get a hold of you? Like, what's the process like?
Well, resume@atlbail.com is an email address that goes directly to the people at A Second Chance who are in charge of hiring, the HR side of things. Stop by one of our many locations, bring a resume, dress nice.
Yeah, because they are snappy dressers, let me tell you.
Give us a call.
That's right.
There are definitely rules and regulations that are established by the states that dictate who and who cannot become bail bondsmen or recovery agents. Can't have a felony on your record. That
makes
sort of
sense.
Stuff. But outside of that, if you're a professional and you're an adult and you're looking to do something as a career and stick with it, it's a great way to make a living. That's for darn sure.
And these days, I think there's a lot of people in that. We just saw the unemployment number has went up way past what was expected. And so, Daniel, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. And is there anything that we didn't cover, fellas, that we should have when it comes to what y'all do, from operations to ownership?
I think the biggest piece, and this is what I spend a lot of my time on, is the community piece, right? What this platform, so our huge success in the industry has allowed us to really entrench ourselves in the community, and that's probably the biggest thing for me, right? And that's constant. And Jesse is at the front and center of that, of rounding up the people and getting people to buy into kind of what basically the core values of the company, right? Giving back being one of the main ones. But that's a huge piece, and that's the one thing our team, look, I'm not going to make you come to anything. I would never. I will be there. If you choose to be there, that's on you, right? If that's something that
like
you
a volunteer event,
right? A volunteer event, right? I'm not going to. And look, I've even paid people to come to events, but at the end of the day, if it's something you want to do, and we get a lot of buy-in on that, right? And that, I think, speaks to the culture, which then speaks to the leadership, which Jesse's at the tip of the spear of the leadership. But that's probably the thing that makes me the most happy. It's what I enjoy doing most in the entire industry. I enjoy being successful and all those things, but really the community piece is really what drives me literally on a daily basis, just because I just love doing it. Like, I could do it every day.
There you go. That's the difference right there. Jesse, thanks so much, man, for taking the time to come in today.
Pleasure's mine.
For Daniel and Jesse and the whole Hee Haw gang over at A Second Chance Bail Bonds and the whole Hee Haw gang here at Extra 106.3, we appreciate you listening to Back Your Blue every week, and check it out in podcast form at the Podcast Park and on the Extra 106.3 app. Y'all make it a great day.
This is an Extra 106.3 podcast. To hear more live and local content like this, tune into 106.3 FM or download the Extra 106.3 app.
This morning in North Carolina, wheels are spinning. Determination is winning. A passion is now a thriving business, and it shows no signs of slowing down. How? The power of a conversation, like the one Clint Spiegel had with First Horizon Bank about starting a bike wheel manufacturing facility in Asheville. Now it's not just talk, it's rubber meets road. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Clint. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
Atlanta's favorite jewelry special is back with Atlanta's favorite jewelry store, of course. For the whole month of August, get 0% APR financing for 5 years only at D. Geller & Son. Birthday or anniversary coming up? Every woman needs a tennis bracelet in her jewelry box, and you can blow her away with a show-stopping 5-carat total weight for just $79 a month. It's only this month and only at D. Geller & Son, Atlanta's most trusted jeweler since 1939. In Atlanta, Kennesaw, and Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
So, Robert, I want to thank you for your time. I just don't think you're the right person for this position.
I don't understand. Was it something I said?
Well, we did a background check on you and found some things of concern.
If you're in charge of hiring for your company, you know how helpful a background screening can be. That's why companies that use Horizon background screening make smarter hiring decisions. Don't let the wrong hire put your company at risk. Get the real story on your candidates at horizonscreening.com. horizonscreening.com.